Hello and welcome to this demonstration. Here I'm showing Power BI over the top of Cognition360's data warehouse. This should show you how much more efficient it is to use a data warehouse structure like Cognition provides than doing queries directly against the ConnectWise database. So for a start, I have a blank Power BI desktop application, and I'm about to import some data, so I'm connecting to the data warehouse and some demonstration data on that. Once I connect to that, then it will bring up a set of tables that I can connect to. We've structured these in the form of facts and dimensions. Facts are like numbers that you can add up, and so let's have a look at, for this demonstration we're going to be looking at time entry data. So I want to look at the facts around time entries, and then associated with those facts I may want to look at various dimensions. So I'm going to want to look at the user or the technician that did the work. I'm going to want to know about the time entry. I'd probably want to know about some information on the ticket that the work was done on, and then we can look at things like the date that it's that the time that the work was done. We can look at the company or the client that the work was done for. We can look at the board that it was on, and so forth. So now we're able to load this data into the model, and we'll see what happens. Now that we have our data loaded into the Power BI data model, we have a series of tables in terms of fact and the dimensions here. We can start to do some analysis. So the first thing I wanted to show you is the relationships that are implicit. So when you're dealing with Cognition Data Warehouse, we've built it as a Kimball style star schema, and so no work to get the relationship. So here we have the fact, and around it, like a star, the dimensions with automatic relationships. So no complicated queries trying to get the SQL right to get the data into this. Matter of just pointing at the tables and it will automatically load. So now let's do some analysis. So the first thing I wanted to do is look at all the time entries for the year 2018 and just see a little bit of detail of what's going on. So first one I'm going to do is just build a table, and very straightforward. We're just going to take total recorded hours, make a little bit more space for the table, and then we're going to take billable hours. Now billable hours are all hours that have got revenue associated, whether indirect by putting time against an agreement or a fixed price project, or direct by having invoicing. And then final one we'd probably want to look at would be the hours that are invoiceable or invoiced hours. And so I come here and find invoiceable hours and put that on the table as well. So now we've got some basic facts. It's added up for the data that we've got, and we may want to look at it and split it by dimension. So the first one I'd suggest we look at, let's just split it by a calendar. So we've got a dimension of date, and we can go calendar year, month, and if we drag that on there, in fact probably put it at the left hand side of the table, there we have the dates, the recorded hours, billable hours and invoiceable hours split by month over time. And another simple thing that we may want to do is just work out the number of people that have been entering time here. So if I go down and take the user key here and put that on, and we can change that to a count distinct, and so that now counts the number of people there. Obviously you'd probably want to rename it. There's a lot more things that we can do to pretty up this table, but this would become count of users here, so we'll just rename that, and we've got a basic table. And the difference over what you'd have to do if you were doing this directly on ConnectWise, you'd have to do quite a bit of SQL queries to get the recorded hours, the billable hours, the invoiceable hours, know the rules around what that is. You'd have to know the relationships to get the date sorted and grouped, and you'd have to do something to work this out. But if we want to go a little bit further and perhaps create another page here, so we're able to add another page, and in this case I'm going to put in what's called a decomposition tree and just start allowing us to do some more analysis. And this is where the dimensions really start to kick in. So if I put that on the table and we go back and we start looking at billable hours up here, so I'll come and find the billable hours and make that the value that we're looking at for this tree, drop that on there. And now it comes up and says, well, there's that same number of hours added up, but we may want to have it explained by different things. And here, this is where the relationships really kick in. So we'll probably explain it by the technician that's worked on it. So we put that there. We may want to be able to explain it by the board that the work was done for, or the ticket that the board was on. So put the board name in. May need to look at the client or company that it's been done, so put the company name on. We may want to be able to look at it by date again, so we put that in there. So I'll do the date, year, month piece on there. And we may want to be able to pick up some ticket details, for example, ticket type or subtype. So let's just put ticket type on that and see. And now, without having to build any real queries, I'm able to come on this and do some analysis, and it's one of those classics for one. So we could look at it by board first, or by, we may want to change that and look at it by date first. So we just add the date dimension here, so the calendar month, year. And then we see that April was a busy one, so now we may want to look at it. Okay, well, what board was that off? What customer did that come? So there's all the service board ones. So what companies, customers did we treat those hours at? And again, we can keep on going down and start looking. Okay, what technician worked for Sun Country Restoration? And there's our technician list. And so what you have here is so much easier than if you were direct querying ConnectWise itself, because of the star schema, because of the data warehouse. So the combination of Power BI and Cognition360 makes you highly productive in producing Power BI reports. Thank you very much.